Even if you don't have money to go in and buy an apartment, invest as a passive investor. You can put $25,000 in a deal and get 10% return every year.
Welcome to the Obsessed with Real Estate show. I'm your host, Alana George, and I'm obsessed with real estate. I have a wonderful show lined up. I interview Elsa Nguyen with Invest Now Capital, and she is just an amazing human being and very knowledgeable on syndication investing. She is a mentor of mine, and we dive into actually how she lost $100,000 on her first passive investment deal. Don't be scared. She shares what the red flags were, how she grew from it, and how we can avoid doing that in the future. So be sure to tune in for that. But before we jump into the rest of the show, I just wanted to do a quick check-in. I got a new haircut. I'm not sure if I like it yet. It's a bit short. Of course, I didn't want to spend money on a haircut because I'm a cheapo in that arena now, because all of my money I want to go towards real estate investing. So I went to a little place, and I should have known by the photos on the wall. The posters of hairdos looked older than I was. And then I got this really short haircut, even though I told her to just take like an inch off. And I had hot girl long hair before, and now it's this short mom do. And so if anybody has any hair growing tips, please reach out to me. Send me a message on Instagram, Alana George _real estate, or go to the show website, Obsessed with Real Estate Show, and message me through there with your hair growing tips, please. It's growing on me, but like, I don't know. It's still up in the air. So anyways, also, I wanted to check in. We did get it back from the Cleveland area a few days ago. I had flown out there to furnish a vacant unit of ours in a fourplex that I want to turn into a midterm rental or medium-term rental, whichever you prefer. I say midterm. For travel nurses, for corporate execs, that whole arena is something new to me, but I'm looking forward to it. The summary of the trip was I was completely overwhelmed and I did not prepare ahead of time. Before heading out there, I had this idea of ordering a bunch of stuff ahead of time so it'd be prepared when I got there, but I actually had to focus on filing my taxes because we are recording this about the time of the extension payments due, files due in October. So I had to focus on that before flying out. And I didn't order anything in advance. And I didn't know the dimensions of the rooms. So that was one of the reasons I felt like I should just buy stuff in person. But the other thing is I really wanted to just go and shop and go hog wild and be in the store and feel the things and buy the things and feel the rush that I don't get when I'm shopping online. That was kind of dumb of me because I gave myself 5 days to visit family with my toddler and furnish this entire rental unit. And also we're on California time in East Coast time. So like we never woke up before 10 a.m. every day. It was just the silliest time crunch and all of these things that I hadn't accounted for that were obstacles for me. And I ended up having to extend our trip an extra day just to get it done. We were leaving Wednesday morning, and by end of day Tuesday, I had set up one nightstand and one dresser. I spent all day Tuesday putting together all the pieces, which I like to do. Like those feel like puzzles to me. I think they're like adult puzzles. That makes it sound kind of weird when I say adult puzzles, but you know what I mean. I like the following of the directions and looking for the pieces. It's fun. And it just turns out I don't do them very fast. I'm very slow at them. And I should not have trusted myself to get all of the furniture put together. So by end of day Tuesday, I had 2 pieces of furniture together. Everything was still in boxes and bags. And I had no couch. I was not able to find a couch. I had only gone to Home Depot and Walmart, and those were the only places I went to because I was short on time. So that was just all around a bad idea, poor planning. But by end of day Wednesday, that was a costly extension on the airline tickets, by the way. I don't recommend that. By end of day Wednesday, I got it to a place where I felt comfortable leaving. It's not completely furnished. I still have to finish. The handyman's finishing the kitchen remodel. I had ordered the wrong size cabinets. My bad. I had eyeballed it. I also didn't have the measurements for that. I eyeballed cabinets and ordered them from Home Depot, and surprise, surprise, they were the wrong size. So that's still getting finished. And I have a barn door that I bought there that I was in love with. That's still getting hung up. Other than that, and some final finishing touches, it's just about ready. And I'll be putting it up on furnishedfinder.com probably next month, November, we will see. So I just wanted to check in on that. I promised that I'd keep you updated. I did not heed Ziana McIntyre's advice, who co-wrote this 30-day stay book that I just bought at BPCon. And she said, when I told her my plans, I was so excited. She said, order things in advance, right? I even went to Sarah Weaver's website and ordered a list with links to order them from. But my brain was like, oh, a lot of these things I can find cheaper if I would just go to Walmart, right? And a lot of things I did find cheaper, but I ended up paying a lot more for some of the things like the couch, which ended up being expensive. And I had to get it same day delivery, $100 there. So it probably came out about even, except for the plane tickets, which pushed me way over. So I'll get some final numbers on that, but I just wanted to keep you updated on how that venture is going. And so now let's get into the show. I have Elsa Nguyen here, which I am super excited to interview. She is a mentor of mine and friend and all around good person. She comes from an accounting background and started real estate syndications in 2019. She is currently, and let me know if these need to be updated, but the notes I have says that you're currently a GP on over 200 apartment doors, over 400 pre-construction development doors. You're a coach, a national speaker, featured on multiple podcasts and radio shows. Does that sound like you?
That sounds about right.
Okay, good. I'm not making it up. These stats do not need to be updated. And like I said, all around good person looking to help people every opportunity that she gets. So I'm really excited to have you on our Obsessed with Real Estate show. Thank you for being here.
Of course, I'm so honored to be here, Alana. This is such a fun time that we have together, and I'm so delighted just to be here today and chat with you the next 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hop into it. Elsa and I actually met back when you got your real estate license, right? How long ago was that?
I think it was maybe 2018, 17, 16. Probably 16.
Probably 2016. You started working at the company that I was working at. We were at the same office, right? And then you reached out to me out of the blue for coffee.
I probably did. I look for all the top agents in the company. That's what I was taught, and invited them out for coffee. And you just happened to be one of them. Graciously accepted my invitation. We had lunch, we had coffee. We helped each other out a little bit. I show some of your listing that you just couldn't get there on time, if you remember. So
yes, that was years later. I had a listing, and that listing, it was so hard to get to. There was multiple weekends. This thing was not selling. I was helping somebody else with the listing. That's a long story. My car broke down one of the times. The road was closed one of the times. And I remember reaching out to you like, Elsa, can you be there? And you had your children in tow and you were helping me out. And it was a lifesaver. We hadn't even talked very much since then. You just have this spirit of helping people. And I recognized that. And I knew you lived in the area.
Home, I'm like, it's on my way home. I'm not dressed for church. So this is the perfect outfit for open.
It was so perfect. And you were so helpful. I appreciate that. So then I saw that you were attending, you had posted on Facebook last year, actually, that you were attending a multifamily conference in Florida. And we hadn't been that close, but I thought, a woman that I know who's local and interested in multifamily investing, like, you're going to be my new best friend. Sign me up. I bought tickets and a flight like that day. I was in. Your new bestie you didn't even know.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. So it was I was so happy that you and Lisa decided to join me on that event. And it was
Yeah.
nice, right? Because things just happen when you, even as little as a decision that you made, it was a trickle effect, and it's just life changing for all of us.
Absolutely. And I feel like, when our eyes are open to it, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, provides. And I was looking for exactly what you had posted. And it was really creepy and cool. And, having a big network and just being friendly with everyone just really pays off, right?
Yeah, that's fantastic. I was surprised when you messaged me and you go, Elsa, I'm coming. I'm like, for sure. Really?
You're like, sure, I haven't seen you in years. Come on. I want to get into what brought you to real estate investing in the first place. Like, give us a little bit of backstory on Elsa.
I think it just boiled down to the point where I was tired of buying real estate for people. So I wanted to buy real estate for myself. I quit my corporate accounting job, and like around 2016, 17, I can't remember. I went from full-time to part-time, and eventually I just quit outright.
Mm-hmm.
And now I wanted to be self-employed. I wanted to, be able to control my time because I had children. So I want to be able to work around the school schedule as well. And that's when I decided to go into real estate full-time. But a couple of years into real estate, I also realized like I don't want to keep, even though we have control over what we do, but at the same time, we still work for other people, right?
Right.
We still work for the buyers, we still work for the sellers. And I didn't want that. I wanted to be one who made control, who in control, in charge of all of that. So I know that being an agent is not my appetite, is not what I meant, what I want to do. So I started to look into real estate investment. I wanted to find a way that I could just create passive income without having, and being a mom of three, I wanted to spend as much time as I could with my children as well. So I know that passive income is just the way to go. So that's when I started exploring, looking into different options. And it took me probably about a year or so to kind of just poke around and learn about different type of investment, and then started going to real estate investment full time then.
So I want to, unpack that a little bit, because being a mom of three children, there had to have been some fear around, jumping into, investing full time, right? It's not something that pays off today. It's not immediate gratification. It's more, right, of something that you build. And so I feel like a lot of people and moms would be nervous to take that step.
Yeah. So for me, I'm a risk taker, and so I not a whole lot calculated. All the risk that I'm taking is somewhat measured before I decided to go into real estate investment full time. So I saved up as sum of money that I think I could live on humbly for 1 to 2 years without having to worry about like how I'm going to pay my rent, right? So that's
Okay.
that I did. So I saved up some money for that. And then again, I was still a real estate agent. I still had buyers, sellers that wanted to work with me. So though I cut back, but I still had deals that I was closing that I know even if I do 4 or 5 deals a year, I would still be okay. So that kind of just the strategy that I worked on. And then when I went over to real estate investment full time, it was not a difficult transition because I had some saving. I applied for the SBA loan because I'm an entrepreneur. So with COVID, there was an SBA loan that was available to people like us. So I applied for that. And that gave me the sort of like the liquidity that I needed to buy commercial properties. So
Wow, that's
that's
smart.
average a loan that I don't have to pay interest for 18 months. Actually, they extended to 2 years or 3 years now. I can't remember. I haven't even paid back yet. So I
Yeah.
took that and I use that as the foundation, the liquidity. Because when you go out and buy a property, they look at your bank account. So I'm like, hey, I have all this money in there, but really they're not mine. The SBA loan.
Wow, that is so smart. What made you think of doing that? That's really brilliant.
Honestly, it didn't even cross my mind until my sister told me, because all of my family were business owners. And she's like, did you apply for that? And I say, I don't think I'm qualified. And she goes,
Right.
think you do. So I went ahead and applied, and they look at the last year income, which is my real estate income. And I did make quite a bit of money in 2019 selling real
Mhm.
estate. And, as a real estate, you're an independent contractor. So they do take that income into consideration, and they were able to give me the max SBA loan. And it was
Wow.
wonderful because it really my journey started it with that.
That is so smart. And I wish that I had a sister just for that reason who could have told me that.
Yeah.
I feel, yeah. 2020, I was just like, oh, up to my eyeballs with the infant and the businesses and COVID and the fire here. I was like, could not even take a breath. And so just hearing that there was even stuff available is just a surprise to me. Cause to this day, like, I never looked into anything. I just was literally not literally, figuratively drowning at that time. So that's really cool that you were able to take advantage of that. I love that. That's really cool. And,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully there'll be no future pandemic issues, but moving forward, have everybody note in their brain to look for stuff like that for small business
Mm-hmm.
relief. That's an amazing asset and tool that you use there. So good job on that.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. So that kind of kickstarted, the liquidity in your account, and you were able to get into some deals. So tell me a bit about, a deal that you're really proud of or that was successful for you.
Yeah, so I would probably take that back to my very first deal that I syndicate, and that
Mhm.
was 60 units apartment in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Slippery Rock. I have never heard of Slippery Rock,
Oh, you
Pennsylvania.
have? Okay.
No.
Well, that's one of my best performing property right now. And I was able to pay our investors a 10% preferred return on that. And I have not missed one payment. So they have
Awesome.
been ever since day number one. I am so proud of that one because I was able to go from, a single family to a 20 units in Jacksonville, Florida, not even 2018. And then I jump onto that 60 units. And normally, usually, and that was also a syndication. My 18 units was a JV. So I bought with my own
Okay.
money.
Mhm.
The 60 units was a syndication, and was for me in order to go from almost a zero to 60 and being the main sponsor on that deal. I learned so much. I learned how to ask people to invest with us. I learned how to pitch the deal. I learned how to read all the SEC documents. 56, that was a 56B that we did for non-accredited investors. I learned how to work with the SEC attorney, drafting those documents, and kind of just put together everything, and even take on that loan myself, being the main guarantor. I think I'm the only guarantor on that loan. It was huge. It was a huge learning experience, well rounded, because I've learned so much from every aspect of that deal. And even now with assets management and turnover. So I'm super proud about that because it was a big lift for me, go from
Mhm.
on to maybe step 5 in just one deal.
That's amazing. There's so many things to unpack there. First off, so you're talking about going from smaller to mid-size. You said single family and you JV'd an 18 unit, and then you went to the large multifamily syndication. Did you 1031 exchange any of that money?
No, I still have all of my properties, so I haven't sold.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
You just
Yeah.
meant you consecutively bought. That makes sense. And then you talked about JVing that 18 unit. Can you explain for the listeners, what JVing is and how it differs then to syndication?
Of course, yeah, that's a very good question. So JV is basically you are buying a property with your own money with a few other people. So no investors on the deal. Everybody is a partner and everybody has a role, active role in the deal. So one person do this, one person do that. We don't have people on the deal that not doing any work. And then of course you split the profit according to your agreement, whatever that looks like. A syndication is we have two groups of people in the syndication. We have the active people and the inactive people. The active one, we call them the GP, and the GP are the one who basically manage the day-to-day of the company. So every property I have, I call it a company because it is really, if you look at from our aspect, you have income, you have expenses, you have people that you have to pay, you have staff. So it is a company. So the general managers or the GPs are the one who actively involved on a daily basis, from giving eviction to a tenant, clean out the property, find a contract for a handyman, whatever that work needs to be involved. They are doing that. We have another group of people called passive investors or limited partners. They are also owners of the property, but they don't have an active role in the company. So their main contribution is that they they bring the capital into the deal, and they don't get the return because they bring in the capital. So those are passive investors. So they don't really do much other than they still have some voting rights in the company, but for the most part, the GP are the one who making all the daily decision. So that's the difference between a JV and a syndication.
Thank you for that. That clarifies it up. And then you said that was your first syndication as a GP, right? Mm-hmm. The one in Slippery Rock. And that was you said it was a 503B?
506B.
506B. I don't know where 3 comes from. Isn't that like a nonprofit?
It's a nonprofit.
Yeah. Okay, it was not a nonprofit. It was for profit for sure. But can you explain that for our listeners and do kind of a deep dive into that versus a 506C?
When we do a syndication, that means we pull a group of people together to buy a piece of property that we may not be able to do it by ourselves because of the price, right? Because it's expensive. So we could do it under regulation. These and it's a regulation that give us that we could do it legally, and we have what's called a 506B or 506C. So 506B is an offering that we can also bring in people who are not accredited investors. Non-accredited investor, we can have up to 35 non-accredited investor in that offering. Whereas a 506C is for all accredited investors. We cannot have a non-accredited investors in there. An accredited investor is basically somebody who has a net worth of over $1 million, or they make over $200,000 a year. Or if they have a spouse, then the two of them together make over $300,000 a year. And they have to have some experience in investment as well. So that's the difference between the two accredited and non-accredited investors. The very first multifamily deal that I did was a 506B. So that means you don't have to be an accredited investor as long as you have an established relationship with the sponsor or one of the GP, then you could invest in the deal.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. You knew I was going to ask you next to explain the accredited investor and a non-accredited. So thank you for diving into that. And you already knew. You can't start using new terms on a podcast and then not explain them for everybody.
Of course.
So you discussed with me, if you're comfortable sharing, your first deal as an LP was actually a bit of a disappointment. And if you're open to talking about that, I'd love to chat about that and what you learned from that and how you kept going.
Oh yeah, of course. So when I decided that I wanted passive income in my
Mhm.
18, that I wanted to be able to, maybe if I could invest $100,000 somewhere and I get 15, 20, $25,000 a year instead of, a 1%, 2% if you put it in a CD.
Mhm.
um, Wonderful. So there was this opportunity that presented to me that I could invest in it with a 25% return. Now, first of all, that's a big number. 25% for the whole entire time would be okay, but 25% a year, that's very, very high. That
Yeah,
and now that looking back, that should be a red flag, but I
a
did not.
red flag. Yeah, that's really high. That's the highest I've heard of. That's
For
a
24,
25. Yeah.
is very, very high. But again, I wanted passive income. I wanted to get into the investment world. That was really the only way for me to get in. And that deal turned out to be, it failed. So it
Mhm.
was a deal. We lost all the money.
Mhm.
Uh, so I lost the full $100,000 investment in that deal.
Oh my God, that's painful to hear.
But at the same time, what I've learned a lesson from that. And I knew, like, first of all, I didn't do my homework as an investor. If I were to invest in a hospitality deal, if I were to invest in a land deal, at least do some research on that and know the risk that I'm getting myself into. And the
Mhm.
second that I learned is do some research about the sponsor, right? So if you were to invest in a deal, I highly recommend that you would do some homework first before you give your money to that person. No matter how much you like that person, look at their track records. Look at how many deals they have done. Look at how many successful deal and failed deals that they have done. And talk to other investors who have invested with them before and get the feedbacks before you invest with that. And then I am a number person because, my background is in number. So I like to see the numbers behind everything. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things I did not do. I trust them for what they say it was instead of looking into the numbers. So I highly recommend, if somebody, if you want to invest in a GU as even as a passive or even active, if you want to partner with somebody, do some research about that sponsor. Do some research about the person that you're going to work with, because on average, a deal, is anything between 3 to 5 years. So you're going to be married to that person for quite a long time. So know what yourself into to avoid
Yeah.
cost, as I did.
Absolutely. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Elsa, but just knowing you and your spirit, I feel like being an LP on that deal that failed may have been what inspired you more to get in as a GP, right? Because you don't want that to happen to other people. And I would, I'm a control oriented person. So maybe I'm speaking for myself. But if I was a part of that and seeing it fail and not having control, because as an investor, you're not, the boots on the ground, you're not doing the day to day as you just explained, it would be hard for me not to want to get involved and be like, no, you should be doing it like this and
Mhm.
like that and like that, and this is how you operate this property and this is how you talk to the property manager. And I would want to have a say and be involved, especially if it was going south. Do you feel like that propelled you to get into it further? Because most people, they lost money in real estate, and I've talked to a lot of people like this, they sit back. They're like, okay, I lost money. I'm never doing that again. And that was not you or your spirit. Does that resonate at all?
100% for sure. I mean, I know I just couldn't go back to my 85 job. That's what I know. And I do not want to. Now, don't get me wrong. I still have, buyer seller that I'm one or two people that I refer out most of them, but I have one or two people that I still work with because I really love.
Mhm.
But I know I just didn't want to go back to that world again. So I really don't have an option but keep moving.
Mhm.
And that I've learned is what propelled me to do better in what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm in that $100,000 loss. I get to write it off anyway.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
Loss, so I still get to offset that against my income. So it wasn't like it was loss, right? So
Mhm.
the good thing is that I did learn that it was the path for me to get into my next due as a GP because I know what went wrong, what was bad. And when the opportunity came for me to become the GP on the next due, I jump on that opportunity right away. And that just opened a way that totally opened up the doors for what I am doing right now. It was a lesson learned, it was a little bit painful, but for the most part, I see more goods come out of that than bad.
Wow. That's really a glass half full mentality, very positive. And you just pressed forward. And I admire that so much. And I think that's what it takes to be successful in any industry, right? Is even your setbacks are just learning opportunities to move forward and to push beyond is, what sets you apart. So congrats to you. I have a feeling that has a theme in your life. And, this isn't a one-off. So that's really cool, Elsa. Thanks for sharing that. I know sharing, challenges and losses isn't always easy, right? It's much easier to share our wins than it is our losses. But
Yeah,
I truly think that the losses make us stronger and better investors as well.
absolutely.
It
Yeah.
adds to the credibility. So you have had success on the LP side with other deals, though.
That's correct. Yeah. So that wasn't my only LP deals that I invested in. I invested in some of my own deals, and I have been able to get, payments, quarterly distribution from that. So I was sharing with you earlier, Alana, one of the deal that was kind of nice. I paid for my tax bill yesterday was, oh my, I get to spend this money.
Time out. Congrats to you for finishing your taxes. We've been going back and forth for like months, like gotta do our taxes. And I got to the post office yesterday also.
Oh, I was up until 11:30 last night because my CPA, he didn't finish it. I'm like, can you file it? No, I need your signature so I could file. Don't sleep. So so anyway, we got it done at 11:30 last night. But back to my LP stories.
Yes.
The property that I was working on in Georgia, and we had raised, all the money, enough money to close the deal, as well as for our reserve, our capex budget, and all that. Long story short, the interest rate changed beginning of this year, as we all know. So lenders backed out last minute. We had it scheduled to close, and then the week before closing, they say, I cannot close. We're not going to close your deal. I'm so sorry. So that's the thing that you deal with in commercial world. Of course, our money already went hard with the seller, and they say, no, we're not going to give you another extension. So we had one option was to close with cash. So I look at our reserve. I'm like, okay, we have enough money to close this deal with the cash that we have. So I went ahead and closed the deal with cash. And then we did a refinance to pull some money out to work on the property. But with that being said, because we closed the deal with cash, I had absolutely nothing left to get started. And I didn't want to wait for another 2 months to refinance the property, to work on the property, because that would be a waste of time. So I accidentally put some money in there, my money. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put $200,000 in here so that we can get going, because I don't want to waste time. And I totally forgot about that. So
Just forgot about $200,000. No big deal.
I was just looking at how did I spend all this money? My SBA loan that we do in a year or two. So anyway, it just didn't even cross my mind. I totally forgot about it, right? So anyways, I did a investor distribution a couple of weeks ago for that property. And then I was surprised to see my name on the list. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not good money. That's why my bank account was short.
That's hilarious.
That was
I just want to make a note that Elsa is a very busy woman. Okay. She has a lot going on. So when she says that she forgot she invested in a deal, I genuinely believe her. because I mean, being a mom of three and then running these businesses, it can be a lot because you're constantly traveling to check on properties and do walkthroughs, and you're underwriting deals right and left. So I understand that part of your brain went missing. So you got a nice return on this forgotten money.
Yeah, so that was a nice. We structured that deal as a 15% return to our investors. So that was really nice because then I used that money to pay for my tax.
Yay! What a win. I mean, it's unfortunate I had to go to taxes, but it's better than not having it.
Oh, I hear you. No, that's totally okay. The money would have just sat in a bank anyway. So, I might as well leverage that.
Right. Lots of wins, some struggles. So I want to hear, Elsa, if you had some advice to your 18-year-old self, what would it be?
Start early. If you love real estate, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you always have this mindset, like I want to become a businessman or woman when I grow up, I want to, have more control of my life, my time, and consider real estate. And even if you don't have money to go in and buy an apartment, invest as a passive investor. You can put $25,000 in a deal and get 10% return every year. You still beat the stock market, you still beat the inflation. So start early, start young. A lot of people that I know, 18, 20 years old, they do house hacking, right? They buy a family house. They live in, their parents help them with whatever. They live in one room, the other four. College anyway, it would have been fun for them. So start early. Don't think too much, because sometimes when you think too much, there's a thing that's called was it analysis paralysis, something like that.
Analysis paralysis is real. It's real. It'll get you
early. Just do it. There's oceans of money out there to make, so there's just so much. So don't be afraid. If you lose some, you win some. Even if the chances for you to win is 1% higher than you lose, you still come out winning.
I love that. I wish that I had that advice as well. These are all things and techniques that I didn't know about either when I was 18. So yeah, ditto is what I'm saying.
I wish somebody told me that when I was 18.
I know. Okay. So if anybody's young listening to this, which I have met young people, that are rocking it in real estate, that were focused early on. And I just think that's really cool. I really didn't start looking towards real estate till I was like 23, 24. And I was bartending and I wasn't able to buy anything, but I didn't even know about buying out of state or being a passive investor. These are not terms that I had ever heard of. So I just thought I'll buy a small little condo and rent it out, and that'll be that. But I didn't qualify. So I talked to one lender who said I didn't qualify, and then I stopped. So I know now, as with my experience, I'm like, why? Like, don't you know, like all lenders are different. And we talk to multiple lenders on deals all the time. And some offer some products while others don't. They offer more creative options. So not to jump in on your question, but definitely something I would have told myself as well is, don't take no as the final answer, right? One person isn't the be all end all of the beginning of your real estate career. So anywho, tell me a bit about, what are your current challenges in your business and your life that you're facing right now?
I'm loving my life right now. So, it just my biggest challenge right now. And probably just, I have 3 children. One is in elementary school, one in middle school, and one in high school. So they 3 different drop-off times in the morning and 3 different pickup time in the afternoon. And then on top of that, they have half day.
Oh my God, the scheduling. Why do they do this?
Exactly right. So I was told by my son today, oh, Mom, Thursday and Friday this week, I have half day. I'm like, what time are you out? 11:25. And when you use Calendly link, and you probably know this, just like I had to reschedule so many times because I don't keep track of the half day, right? So, and then have people book my calendar on the time when I need to go pick up the kids. So probably that's one of my biggest challenge right now is to stay on top of my kids' schedule and get the works done. But I have the beautiful things is that I have a flexible schedule. Most of the time I'm just on the phone. So, that's a blessing in disguise as well. I don't have to be in front of my computer the whole time. And I would be able to, solve a lot of, work on a lot of stuff even when I'm on the road.
I love that. If that's your biggest challenge, life is pretty good. Right? Because that could be outsourced, but that doesn't sound like you absolutely need to. So
yeah, I don't need to do that. So, and they have to like come pick them up too, in mom show up, and it's like they look forward to see me every day. So,
yeah, that's your time together. So tell me currently something that you are obsessed with and you can't get enough of.
Probably buying more properties.
That's the right answer. Just kidding.
Oh, we want to buy more properties, and I'm obsessed with that. I love looking at LoopNet and even Redfin. It's just like swipe and look at properties. Oh, this may work for me, and I just like crunch the number in my head and then just start analyze them. But you can only. I'm a one person. I do have a partner, but again, I don't want to overcommit to anything that I cannot fulfill. So that means like taking one deal at a time. But I do obsess with just looking at deals and like, oh, I want to get into that. I want to get into this. But again, we're building a business, Alana, just like you and I, and we need to have a strategy. We need to have a plan, right? In order for us to go and buy that business, we need to make sure that we have money to buy it. For one, we want to make sure that we have a business plan in place, and we want to make sure that the price is right. And the condition of the market right now, we could easily overpay for a property without even knowing it. So I'm cautious when it comes to that. But yes, I'm obsessed with properties. I'm obsessed with getting more doors.
I love that. I'm feeling that right now too. And my daughter keeps going to sleep like after 10 p.m. And starting from like 8 p.m., I start the nighttime routine and I'm like, go to bed so I can hop on Zillow and hop on LoopNet on my computer. I just have this image of me sipping some tea on the couch on my computer, like analyzing properties, and it like never happens because by the time she's asleep, I'm exhausted. And I'm like, well, try again tomorrow. So that's my challenge on that front right now.
I know what you meant. I totally live.
So tell me what's next for you.
Oh my God, this is so exciting, Alana. I don't think I've shared this with too many people, but I am going to work. I'm working on a fund right now with Garrison. So Garrison is my partner, and Garrison has also taken over MFM. So the Facebook MFM page, he had get full control of that now. So
clarify that. It's Garrison Gilbert, and he's taken over Multifamily Masters. Is that MFM?
Yeah. Okay. So I think he was partnered with Powell and Ferris before. So now they kind of step back and take a very small ownership. And Garrison is taking the big part of that. So I will work with him on that platform.
Share with us what MFM is.
It's a Facebook platform. So MFM have about 9,000 members on their Facebook page. And it's just like any of the multifamily Facebook page out there. MFM is one of them. Under MFM, they also have sub-chapters. So they have about 75 meetups groups throughout the country. 45 of them are active right now. And some of them have like over 1,000 members. So they are the sub-chapter. So you have MFM and you have sub-chapter under them. So we have access to all of these meetup groups that are using the MFM kind of format, right? So they have things that this is, if you want to be a meetup under MFM, these are the structure, these are the information that you can use, so on and so forth. You get support from them. So So all the meetups that they have. And then, of course, they also have their own coaching program. So they do have coaching student under MFM, the same as with Rod. So they arms as well. So I'm excited because now I get to work with Garrison on growing this platform. And that's gonna look like. So I have been spending every single free time that I have just brainstorm with him and working on kind of just not rebranding, but give it a fresh look. Because this has been kind of overlooked the last few months just because of everything going on. So that's the big thing going on right now. And we are also working on our new website because I came from hospitality. So as I share with you, I used to kind of just branded myself under Sunrise Development, but I'm not development anymore, right? So now we just rebrand our company under investnowcapital.com, that our new company. So we're structuring that, and we kind of just pull everything that I have done in the past and Garrison had done in the past together to build on this platform. And then right below that, we're working on a $6 million fund right now as well.
That's amazing. So with that fund, you'll take it and invest. So a fund is different, right? It's a little bit different than raising for a syndication.
Correct. Yeah. So I could use that fund and I could invest that as an LP itself. So the fund itself will come in as a limited partner on some other people's deal or even in my own deal. So that fund I could use instead of go out and have people just, raise capital when I have a deal going on. I could just create that fund right now and then use that when a good deal come along. And that's the reason why we're doing that, is that we are in anticipation for what's coming. And I don't want good deals just because of the way the market, the interest rate, everything going on right now. We do hope to have some good deals in the market. And we want to be able to have a fund ready to go when those opportunities come about.
That's amazing and a really smart way to go about this. Uncharted territory, unknown time that we're in right now, as far as like, where's the market going, right? So I love that. Where could people find more information about MFM?
They could just go on Facebook and look for MFM. It's Multifamily Master MFM, it's the same. So just Google it. And then, the company that we're working on right now is called Invest Now Capital. So still in the process of rebranding, creating.
Okay. You don't have a website for that quite yet.
Not ready yet.
Okay. All right. It's in the works.
It's in the work. Yeah.
Got it.
They can find me at Sunrise Equity Group. So that's my website, and it's still valid. It's still good, and we're eventually going to merge into the new website.
Okay. Before we go too far into your contact information and how to get a hold of you and partner with you, I need to know a boring fact about you. And I know you felt like you couldn't come up with one. And I just I don't believe you. I think there's some in your head and you're just not sharing. So what is a boring fact about Elsa Nguyen? Go.
Oh boy, you really put me on the spot right now. I try to think of that. I don't know. I'm boring. I go to bed like at 9.
Not what makes you boring. Just tell us something about you that maybe doesn't have to do with real estate that you don't talk about.
My arm is not straight. It looked kind of, I don't know. Let me see.
Maybe you're double jointed too. I shared with Elsa that I'm double jointed in my elbows. So maybe you are too.
Yeah, it's like that. Mine's like that.
Yeah, and I have to be careful in pictures. Like if it's like, oh, do a silly one, and everybody's like this, and then my arm looks like it's broken. And I'm like, does that happen?
Yeah, it looks exactly like yours.
Yeah, I'm probably grossing people out right now if you're watching on YouTube.
Oh.
Yes, that's double jointed. I don't meet a lot of other people that are double jointed in their elbows as well, but it looks like you do have it.
When I stretch my arm, they go, oh, can you just take it back? I'm like, okay.
Also, you can only take pictures like this.
It's still in one piece. It's still intact. It doesn't look like, but it still is.
super creepy and it creeps people out all the time. And I have to be very conscious of it, especially in photos. And
Oh,
so good to know. Next time I see you and we take a picture.
we have more in common than we thought.
Yeah, exactly. Which, okay, other fun fact, Elsa and I, so we're both part of Rod Cleef's program for multifamily. We were at an event in Denver eating at a restaurant, and somebody asked me when I went up to pay if we were sisters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, I would be so blessed if you were my sister.
I would be so blessed too. I don't know what they were thinking because we're definitely.
I'm not Vietnamese.
I'm not American.
So it was very funny to me, but very flattering as well. So I had to share that. So we are double jointed. We both love multifamily investing and we look like we could be sisters.
Oh, 100%. I just need to color my hair. And how do I make my hair a little bit higher? Make my skin a little bit lighter.
I won't go into how I'll make myself look like you. But just know that I'm flattered by it. Okay, Elsa, please give us some more information on how people can get in touch with you, how they can invest with you, follow you on your journey.
Oh, yeah. So I'm so sorry I jumped on that question a little bit sooner. Ask about FM. But again, my current website is sunriseequitygroup.com, but my new website is going to be investnowcapital.com. And I am on LinkedIn, Elsa Nguyen, as well as on Facebook. So you can probably just Google my name and find me on it.
Mm-hmm. And there's a few. So remember her face, that it looks like mine. So that'll be helpful. Thank you so much, Elsa. I am so honored that you agreed to be on this show. And I'm honored to have you as a friend and a mentor in the multifamily space. And I love working with you. I love chatting with you. You're so much fun and your positive energy and your can-do spirit is contagious. And I hope that comes through on this interview so that everybody else can feel that warmth and that positive vibe to just go out and conquer your fears today. Push past any rejection, push past any setbacks, and just move forward because success is just on the other side, right?
Yeah, pleasure is mine, Alana. Such a delight to be on your show today. Thank you so much.
Well, that wraps up our show with Elsa Nguyen with Invest Now Capital. I hope you got some nuggets from that, some red flags to look out for, and just an overall inspiration. If you enjoyed what you heard, please leave a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening to, or subscribe, get the notifications, because that enables our show to be found by more listeners. And hopefully by doing so, we can inspire others to take action and help remove the fear from real estate investing so we can live our lives with more freedom. Thank you. If you'd like to connect with me, please reach out or follow me on Instagram at Alana George _real estate. Same on TikTok at Alana George _real estate. You can go to our show website at obsessedwithrealestateshow.com, where you can submit to be a guest or just submit a question. I'd love to hear from you. We also have a Facebook group, Obsessed with Real Estate Show. Feel free to join that and connect with the community of listeners and investors. And if you'd like to invest with me, feel free to check out clearconnectioncapital.com, where you can sign up for any of our upcoming offerings. Thank you and have a great week. I will see you on the next one.